So Charles Oliveira beat the crap out of Kevin Lee, to my surprise, on Saturday night. So look, this fight for me started not on Saturday night, it started during the week, because the first thing that happened that was out of the ordinary was the fact that because of coronavirus, they decided that this was going to happen in an empty arena, which reminded me a little bit of The Ultimate Fighter back in the day, when they used to have those fights in the training center and you can just hear people shouting instructions and whatnot. But I've never really seen this happen in an empty arena, which is a weird kind of atmosphere for a fight. That was the first thing that you needed to take on board. The second thing was, clearly Kevin Lee missed weight, and he didn't just miss weight, he missed weight by a considerable amount. I think he weighed in at 158 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. Excuse me. Which obviously isn't good. That's a whole 3 pounds he missed weight by. And look, I thought this was a new Kevin Lee, a new training camp, a new focus, a new way of attacking the fight game. And I felt in his last fight against Gillespie, we saw the fruits of that labour. We saw the benefits of the change he's made. This was a little bit like the old Kevin Lee. Now, we don't know whether there was an injury in training camp that he was dealing with. We don't know whether him going out of Brazil took a toll on him or had an effect on his ability to lose weight. We don't know mentally whether him not knowing whether the fight's going to go ahead or not during the week played a part in him not making weight. But the fact of the matter is, he missed weight, you know? And that obviously speaks to the old version of Kevin Lee, and I use that term loosely, the old version of Kevin Lee, because he's only had the one fight under Firas where he did look good. You got to give him that. But is that enough evidence to say that he's made this change mentally and he's more focused, etc.? That might have just been a good day in the office for him, and that's the beauty of hindsight, I suppose, because going into the fight, I thought that he would win this comfortably. So those kind of things you need to take into consideration before fight night. And if I'm honest with you, when a fighter misses weight and the fight goes on, I always tend to root for the guy that made weight, because invariably the guy that misses weight usually goes on to win the fight. So generally speaking, I usually want the guy that made weight to win the fight. But on this occasion, I didn't, because I thought Charles Oliveira, he'd be getting a taste of his own medicine, because this is a guy that made a career out of missing weight at 145 pounds. And then he proceeded to beat the shit out of his opponent in those fights. So I thought this might be a little bit of poetic justice in an ironic kind of way. And I thought Kevin Lee's going to miss weight, give up 30% or whatever it is of his purse, go in there and beat Charles Oliveira up. And Charles Oliveira would have had to hold his hands up and say, look, I've done this myself multiple times. It is what it is, as the blessed one would say. Now, come fight night, I was surprised. I actually wanted to watch this fight again this morning before work, but for some reason it was deleted off my Skybox. And it wasn't me that deleted it, so I don't know how that's happened. The prelims were there, but the main card wasn't, which was rather annoying, because I actually woke up a little bit earlier to watch this fight and refresh my memory, and I couldn't. So, with regards to the fight, the thing that I was shocked about the most was how Oliveira was able to dictate the exchanges when they was both on their feet. Oliveira outstruck Kevin Lee. Now, I know obviously Oliveira is a competent striker, but in my mind, and I need to change my mind now, but in my mind, Oliveira, his strong suit is jiu-jitsu, and it still is. But his stand-up game, blimey, his stand-up has improved exponentially from what I remember it to be. And the way he was able to hurt Kevin Lee, the way he was able to win the exchanges on the feet, which made Kevin Lee want to shoot for the takedown and take the fight to the ground, which is Oliveira's playground. Do you know what I mean? Being on the ground is that's what Oliveira does. Anyway, look, he got the submission in the third round. I felt like at the time of watching it, even though Kevin Lee ended up on top of Oliveira in the first round, he wasn't comfortably on top. He wasn't on top, and he was safe at all times, and he was just implementing a ground and pound game. Oliveira was throwing up submissions in the first round whilst he was on his back, and Kevin Lee was constantly in danger. The second round was a clear win for Oliveira, and the third round, I hope I'm remembering this correctly. What if it finished in the second round? But I just remember that as the fight progressed, Oliveira basically just took over, eventually getting the submission. Kevin Lee, I don't know whether he was knocked out or which made him kind of try to continue fighting, even though he had already tapped. It was a shame. I mean, Oliveira has really announced himself for me now as a genuine top 5, top 7 lightweight, and a fight that I'd love to see him in. And I know Hook has already booked in with Poirier, but for some reason I'd love to see Oliveira against Poirier, because they're both long, slim fighters. Oliveira's got that stand up, that improved stand up, and I'd love to see them two go at it. But you know, time will tell with what happens with Oliveira. With Kevin Lee, Kevin Lee, I didn't actually hear this interview, or I didn't actually read the article fully, but I did see a headline where Kevin Lee said he's going to take an extended period off. Clearly he needs to re-evaluate things. Clearly he needs to see what he wants to do next. I don't know whether we, as an MMA fan-based community, whatever you want to call it, I don't know whether we have overrated Kevin Lee over the years. I think that he won a lot of brownie points with his performance against Tony Ferguson, but you got to remember he lost that fight. Do you know what I mean? And I struggle with Kevin Lee a little bit, because every time it feels like he's turned the corner, something like this happens, like it did, you know, over the weekend. I don't know whether we overrate Kevin Lee or whether he's just not reaching his potential. It's one of the two, and it might be somewhere in between. But yeah, with Kevin Lee saying that he's going to take some time off, I don't blame him. Maybe this has been a rude awakening for him. Maybe now he's sitting there thinking, I'm not actually as good as I thought I was. And on paper, he's got all the skills to say he is world level, and he is a potential world champion in weighting. But it's just, you get that, man. Maybe it's just mentally he just can't put himself where he needs to be to get the best out of himself on fight night. Whatever it is, it needs to be evaluated. One other thing that I just want to quickly add is, I saw Jorge Masvidal tweet out some derogatory things about Kevin Lee after he lost, and I've said this countless times. I believe it's not Jorge Masvidal running his own social media, and I have a feeling it's one of the Kawa, Malky or Abe, whichever one manages him. I have a feeling it's one of the managers that tweet on his behalf. And you know, like, if it's not Jorge Masvidal saying it himself, if it's not Jorge Masvidal tweeting from his own account, don't tweet stuff like that on his behalf. Do you know what I mean? It's this, like, don't express your own personal views if you're whoever's tweeted on his behalf through Jorge Masvidal. Don't put words in his mouth. Do you know what I mean? Who knows? It might be Jorge Masvidal tweeting, but just the tone of those tweets didn't seem like it was Jorge Masvidal. So whoever it is that's tweeting on his behalf, that's for you. That's yours. Take it, have it, keep it. Yeah, that's my thoughts on the weekend. If you're a regular battle camper, you'll notice that I'm in a different car today, because my car at the moment is with a mechanic, and this camera angle is a bit different. It's a bit lower. It's lower because the vents are lower, so my phone's hanging lower. So yeah, I got another thing that happened is I left my shades in my car when I handed it in, so I had to draw for the Gucci's, you know, the Gucci shades. the fake ones from Thailand. Same but different. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the weekend. Let me know what you guys think. Put your comments below. Don't be scared to hit the like button. Share this with a friend if you've enjoyed it. If you haven't already, subscribe, man. Subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time.